Today is the last Sunday in September, the 5th, and the theme for the month has been From Pieces to Peace. What an amazing theme. And George kicked off the month, and he was talking about sub-personalities, the pieces inside that need to kind of come together if you want to have peace. The theme for this particular Sunday is we are the ones we have been waiting for. What does that mean? That's a big one. So I pondered the idea of waiting for someone. And I made a list for all the things I've been waiting for and see if the list fits you. As a child, I was waiting for the Easter Bunny, for the Tooth Fairy to bring me money. I was waiting for Santa Claus. All three of those I've been waiting for would bring me something wonderful. Can you relate? Mm-hmm. Yeah? I know as a child that the good is coming from outside. It's going to be brought to me by somebody else. It helps to be good. I don't think the Easter Bunny cares, but Santa Claus did. Remember the list? Nice and not so nice? Later on in my life, I waited for the ideal teacher who would recognize that I'm special and wonderful. I waited for the right minister who would show me the way out of misunderstandings and erroneous conclusions. I waited for the ideal husband. And 3 husbands later, I got him. I'm waiting for a publisher to pick up my memoirs. I'm waiting. It's out there. I'm waiting for the ideal doctor to take care of my physical ailments. And eventually, I'm going to be waiting for death to put an end to this whole thing. So I ask you to take a moment and feel how this stance of waiting started in childhood, waiting to be given something by an outside force, an outside contributor. And it says, as the title of my speech, we are the one we've been waiting for. What is implied here? Mahatma Gandhi, probably one of the most peaceful, easygoing people on the planet, put it this way: become the change you wish to see. Not, I wonder who's going to bring the change. Oh, I know. Watch this election. The change is coming. We're finally going to have the right leader of this country, and good things are coming. I don't know about you, but I have always waited for somebody else to bring the change. The idea of being the change had not occurred to me till Mahatma spoke to me. The theme is peace. If we want peace on earth, and Mahatma is right, then we would have to become the peace we wish to see. Can we agree?
Yes.
So what is peace? I was looking at this. I'm not going to tell you what time it was in the night. What is to be peaceful? And here is what I noticed. Being peaceful means not to be combative, non-aggressive, non-invasive, non-abusive. And I went, wait a minute, this is all negative. I'm defining peace by things that it's not. And then I had an illumination. What if peace is the last thing that's left when we let go of all the things that don't work? What if peace is not a goal, but a leftover when everything is stripped away? What if peace is not a goal, something we're trying to achieve? I'm trying to be peaceful. Do you know how hard I'm trying? I've got a fucking migraine headache. I'm so hard trying to be peaceful. I know some people I love, the sweetest, most soft-spoken, wonderful, wonderful people, animal rescuers with hearts the size of Chicago, who spend most of their days entertaining revenge fantasies. If you look at them or speak to them, you can't tell. You have to be a therapist to tell. So this peacefulness that some of us portray, I'm not talking to you, let me own this. Some of the peacefulness I portray is fake. And the image I'm going to give you is the swan. Have you ever seen a swan glide elegantly on the water? Do you know that under the water it's going like this? The question is, what's under the water? What do I show you above the water? The swan, the elegant one. And underneath it's paddling like crazy to survive. Can you relate? Anybody? I'm the only swan here?
Fortunately, we can.
So the positive side of peaceful is when we're placid, at ease, surrendered, accepting. And I know that when I'm at peace, I feel really good. However, I'm also addicted to excitement and to drama. So peace is not my normal state. The way I've been raised was not about peace. The way I was raised, and let's see if you can identify with this, was about defensiveness and self-protection. So I have good news. Are you ready for good news?
We'll take it.
I looked at the possibility of world peace, and I'm here to report it's possible. World peace is possible. Absolutely. In your world. Global peace is not possible. You know why? Some people don't want to be peaceful. Some people want to fight. Some people want to blow up things. Some people want to torture others. Forget global peace. It's never going to happen. It's never been, and it never will be. And I'm going to give you an example because I'm a metaphorician. And I said to God, give me the perfect metaphor why there cannot be peace globally at the same time everywhere. And I'm introducing you to the image of the lemon tree. The lemon tree is a very unusual plant because it does everything at the same time. An apple tree has a blooming season, the season when the blossoms fall off, little apples, ripe apples, dropped apples. The lemon tree does everything at the same time. You have the lemon flowers, you have the itty-bitty peanut-sized lemons, the green ones, you have the half-grown lemons, you have the full-grown lemons, you have the overripe lemons, all at the same time. This is how the world is. There are blossoms, people are just blossoming, people who are just coming out, people who are half awake, people who are awakening more, people who are enlightened. There are all these different stages of evolution of spirituality and maturity. We cannot all be at the same place at the same time. Does that make sense? So, how can we have world peace in our world? I want to tell you a story about my uncle. He's my favorite uncle. He lived to be 97. A big-hearted, gentle giant. I adored him. And one Sunday we were walking in the Swiss Alps, and he said, I've got something big to tell you. I said, what? He said, I wrote a letter to Saddam Hussein. You did? Yes. And here's what I did. I wrote, Dear Saddam. By the way, this is all in Swiss. I don't know how you wrote to Saddam. You have an opportunity, a historic opportunity, to create peace in the Middle East. I demand that you step up to that plate and make peace and knock it off. Respectfully, Ernst Esslinger. He looked at me, delighted. And I said, wow, what an amazing letter. May I ask you a question? He said, yes, he was in his power. I said, I remember you had a falling out with your son. How long has it been since you talked to your son? He said, 3 years. And I said, and you write a letter to Saddam Hussein about peace in the most volatile political area of the world when you, living in Switzerland, cannot even keep peace with your own son? I had to grab him by the sleeve because he was falling off the mountain. This is my illustration of what it looks like for most people who want peace. They tell other people to be peaceful. I want you to be peaceful so I can have a good life. So, how come I find it difficult to be peaceful sometimes? George and I, as Catherine introduced me, she mentioned that we are retired practitioners. We are also retired hypnotherapists. In this capacity, we both were able to access the inner landscapes of our clients. I'm going to tell you the truth, and I beg you to believe me. I have not yet seen the inner landscape of a human being that wasn't a war zone or a battlefield. If you go deep inside of yourself, you will find opposing forces. You will find huge wars going on. I had wars inside of me that make Hamas and Israel look like pikers. How come? I'm 76 years old. I have matured to a beautiful level of contentment and functionality. How come there's wars going on in there? I show you. I brought you something. For those of you who are listening, I'm holding up a Russian nesting doll. Does everybody know how they work? Yeah. Now, my friend Shannon informed me that they are not called babushka doll. People would think of them as babushkas because there were kerchiefs around their head, as if that was a sign of being a grandmother, when in fact in Russia, everybody wears a kerchief. So the babushka doll is actually called the matryoshka doll. Thank you, Shannon, for straightening me out on that. I Googled it, and here's what it looks like. It has all these ever getting smaller dolls inside. A Russian doll maker invented this at the turn of the last century. His friend, the painter, painted them, and suddenly they took off worldwide. I don't know if I can put them here without them falling down. I like this as an illustration of how we're built. Did you think that growing up is synonymous with outgrowing? I thought so. I thought growing up meant you leave everything behind. You don't, you know. Everything we've ever been at every stage of our evolution is still inside, just like that. So you're looking at the 76-year-old who gives a brilliant speech, and there's a cowering toddler in there. I'll give you another example. If you cut down a tree, you can see the rings, and you can count the years. Are you familiar with that? Yeah, you can actually establish the year of a 3,000-year-old redwood because it has 3,000 years marked. And at the core is the sapling, still there. Think about that. The tree grew around the sapling. You and I grew around the inner core child. And most of our inner children are scared, or petrified, or hiding, don't get to speak up, don't get to be seen. Can anybody relate to this? Does anybody have an inner child like that? Oh, two of us. Good. Thank you, George. That was very funny. So, if we could be one, the age we're now, if we could focus on being the model that we are today, wouldn't life be easy? Me, right now, the way I am, I see the world very clear, it's all good. But there are parts of me who are not there. There are levels of evolution that have not caught up with this and never will. This little one here, the littlest one, I'm pointing to the smallest of the nesting dolls, will never be the adult. And it is our job, if we want to experience peace and participate in the peace movement, to make peace with every part of ourselves. If you heard George's speech, the first one this month, he talked about sub-personalities. I'm coming at it from a slightly different angle, but this is exactly what we're talking about. If we're not at peace with every single facet of ourselves, we can't experience peace. How many of you have a rebel? Ah, that's better. Now we have some participation. Thank you, rebels. I have an incredible rebel. She's dressed in black leather. She's pierced and tattooed up the yin yang. She rides a Harley Davidson and she only smokes Marlboros and eats French fries. It's not easy to have a rebel like that. And the language I don't get to mention because we got an email to the minister saying, could you tell Brigitte not to swear? I'm not going to tell you what I thought. My rebel is foul-mouthed out there, going up against anybody, kicking butt. But then I also have a nun, and she's so kind and so sweet and so helpful. God bless you. I have a hunter who hunts. Not just for food, she hunts for pleasure. I have a vegan who doesn't hunt, who only eats plants. So you should see me at a restaurant when they bring the menu. And I look at the menu and I go, oh, I'm a vegan. I'm going to have a big salad. That's the thing. And my hunter says, are you kidding me? I want a steak. And I want you to go moo when I cut into it. How do you reconcile that? Do you think this is a peaceful moment while I'm looking at the menu? My child says, I want apple pie and ice cream. And my accountant says, the way the economy has gone, I don't think eating out is affordable anymore. And my inner critic says, have you looked at your fat ass recently? What are you doing eating out? You should be eating carrot sticks at home. So what I'm illustrating is that even in a simple moment like choosing lunch at a restaurant, I have different opinions. Where is peace possible? When you have conflicting needs, conflicting desires, where is peace possible? What kind of a peace bringer am I? Can't even order lunch. Well, the good news is we are expressions of the highest intelligence, the highest love of the universe. We are customized, individualized expressions of God. As such, we have the power and the free will to shift these internal feuding factions. How do we do that? We bring them to God. I can't deal with them. They're going to do what they're going to do. But my higher power actually has what it takes to say, come on, let's all get together, to unify. So I have a quote by Carl Jung, the famous Swiss psychiatrist. And this is what he said, and I think it nails it. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life, and you will call it fate. I'm going to repeat that. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life, and you will call it fate. This is the ultimate victim stance. I think life is happening to me, not for me, because I'm unaware of who is actually doing the ordering internally. Does that make sense? You know, science of mind is brilliant. We say at the beginning, we ask you to change your life by changing your mind. I'm going to take this a step further. I'm asking you to change your life by changing your mind and your feelings. Because often the feelings are under the thought. And all the parts of us that are at odds, that are vying for attention, that want to be loved, all those parts need our love. So if we are the one we've been waiting for, what about we're the only one who can actually discover what's inside? If you look at religions, there is a common theme of waiting for salvation to come from outside, the Messiah, the Savior. It's a very big theme in many ancient and modern religions. You know, in Jewish concentration camps, in German concentration camps, the Jews literally awaited the Messiah to come on a cloud and land in the middle of the prison yard and take them all up into a place of safety. This is a real desire, a real fantasy. I can so relate that. Children in abusive homes are waiting for somebody to come and save them. I have news for all of us here. The only one who can save us today is our own loving attention to self. Peace begins with me. We sing that. It has begun with me. And how it begins is by tenderly and fearlessly taking a look what's going on underneath the serene swan. I challenge you, I invite you to have a look. Who is running the show? Who is doing the ordering? You know, Science of Mind says, as you think, so it shall happen to you. Your thoughts are creative, your thoughts are seeds. You speak something into existence, you claim something, and here it comes. What are we putting on the conveyor belt, and who is putting what on the conveyor belt? If I'm convinced that I'm unlovable, that's what I'm going to outpicture. because that's the thought. And I want to end with an anecdote from my life. George and I took a nap the other day, and as I crawled into bed, he opened his arms and just took me into a big hug, and then he said, I need to tell you something. For the last couple of hours, I have felt very bad. I instantly froze. I must have done something. George doesn't feel bad for any other reason. It's my fault. And I'm trying to think, what did I do? What did I do? And then it got even worse as I spiraled down to my core wounding. George is feeling bad because he cannot find the words to tell me that he's sick and tired of me after 42 years, that I'm getting old and wrinkled and ugly, and he wants a divorce. I'm lying there paralyzed. And George says, at the moment I put my arms around you, all those feelings disappeared. And you will never know the amazing effect you have on me, how much I need you, and how much I love you. What? Do you see this illustration? It wasn't Mrs. D'Amato or the lover who was responding to, I need to tell you something, I don't feel so good. It is the child who is waiting to be aborted. The child who is absolutely clear that the world would be a better place without her being here. This is the deep wounding that I have. The world would be a better place if I wasn't here. I'm a burden, I'm too loud. I use the wrong language, I say fuck. We have work to do. If you want to live at peace with yourself and others, that's the work. And I just want to put a shout out for ACA. ACA is a 12-step program for the children of alcoholics and dysfunctional families. Your parents don't have to be alcoholic to be abusive or neglectful. And ACA, called Adult Children of Alcoholics, has a program, a 12-step program that leads into healing from that. I want you to know I'm a gifted therapist. I helped many, many, many people, have benefited hugely from my gifts. And some of my stuff is untouched. And I pledge to you that this is going to change. Because I want to be at peace with myself. I want to be at peace with you and with the whole world, no matter what it looks like. And on a personal note, today is the 29th of September, and 29 years ago to the day, I became an American citizen. And I like to end by saying, America is my home of choice. It is my home of healing, and I love you, Americans. Thank you.